I saw a brewery lose $92,000 in one day to just 12 barrels of exploding beer cans. The owner panicked and called me and said, Hendo, we've got no idea what went wrong. Is this your nightmare scenario? I'm Hendo from the Rockstar Brewer Academy, and if you package beer wholesale, this could be you tomorrow. In under 12 minutes, I'll reveal the 3 packaging mistakes that turn one bad batch into brand suicide, and the one systematic tool that transforms a potential crisis into a trust-building win that will increase your sales. Because here's what most pro brewers don't realize. Once your beer leaves the bright tank, you're playing with fire. One refermentation incident, one exploding can complaint, and suddenly you're scrambling with no food safety plan and no clue how to diagnose exactly what went wrong. But the breweries that survive and thrive after market failures, they have a system. If you're packaging beer for retail and you want to protect every drop that leaves your brewery, hit subscribe because I'm about to show you exactly how the world's best breweries turn packaging disasters into competitive advantages. Let's get brewing. G'day brewers, welcome to the Quality Focus Pro Brewers podcast. My name is Hendo and I am a pro brewer coach from the Rockstar Brewer Academy. I help professional brewers all over the world implement quality systems and get the brewing technical knowledge they need so they can make world-class beer without all of the internet research rabbit hole and all that sort of thing. Hey, today I wanted to talk about not something that happens in the brewery, but I wanted to talk about what happens to your beer once it leaves the brewery, and in particular packaging and everything that happens after that. It would be really great if we as brewers could be with every single one of our consumers and be with them when they drink our beer out in the market. So think about the breweries that are putting their beer into small pack, into bottles or cans, sending it out to retailers and then out into the consumer's hands. Or perhaps you're putting your beer into kegs to go on draft and going out to some on-premise venues and that sort of thing. You can't be there with all of the consumers when they go and drink your beer. So it's your job as a professional brewer to make sure that you protect your beer and also have a plan that in case something goes wrong, you are able to deal with it quickly and effectively. Because what happens is that as your brewery grows, you might begin packaging your beer into cans or bottles or kegs, and you're sending it out into the wholesale market to retailers. Those retailers then sell your beer to consumers. So there's this degree of separation that might not leave you in full control of your beer once it leaves the brewery. Think about the worst case scenario if something goes wrong with your beer out in the market. Let's say, for example, you have some re-fermentation in pack that might suddenly happen. How you'll be informed of that is you'll suddenly start to get customer complaints. It might be from end consumers, it might be from your retail partners or pubs and bars and restaurants, or it might be liquor stores, bottle shops, and that sort of thing. And so you've got to ask yourself, what do you do when the complaints start rolling in? What I've seen happen is I have seen breweries quickly spiral into chaos. They start to troubleshoot the issue. There's team members blaming each other. There's frantic scrambles to diagnose and fix the issue. And there's total lack of a plan. And I know you know this as well, that there are some breweries who, when faced with this situation, love to just sweep it under the carpet and ignore it and put their head in the sand and pretend the issue isn't happening. Not cool. Okay, so what we're going to talk about today is why the panic is not the right reaction to an instance where you start getting customer complaints, and how you can set up systems that restore control even in this worst case scenarios before your brand takes hit. Because if you get this wrong and you start have things happening like exploding cans and that sort of thing out in the marketplace, your brand is going to take a hit. There is no two ways about it. And all that hard work that you've put into your beer and to build your brand will very quickly fall apart if you don't have a plan to deal with things when your beer goes wrong out in the market, and it will happen to you. You cannot for a second pretend that you're not going to have a situation where, oh, my beer's fine, it's never going to go wrong in the market and that sort of thing. Sure, you would love for it to be that way, but that's just not possible. It happens to even the world's best breweries. Hey, if you're new here and you're curious about how the top breweries nail beer quality every single time, drop a comment crash course below and I'll send you a link to my free 15-minute crash course. It's got loads of information in there. If you're watching this on YouTube, scan the QR code and you can get access to it right away. So here's the thing. Here's my theory, is that the further the beer advances down the production process, the greater the fallout from any food safety issues. So let me give an example. If I mash in and I happen to crush my grist too fine and I get a stuck mash and that sort of thing, the worst thing that's going to happen is I'm going to put some grain and some hot water down the drain and a little bit of labour. There's not too much cost there. If I progress to the boil, I've got some hops going in, so there's some more money that's going in into raw materials. And again, if I miss the gravity or something doesn't go right, it's a few raw materials, a bit of time and a bit of energy, and it's neither here nor there. Into fermentation and maturation, sure, beer's in the tank now. Now I've cleaned a tank and I've put some more labour into it. Maybe I've dry hopped the beer, but still, I can dump a batch of beer. No consumer sees it. It's not going to damage my brand, and it's overall not that bad. Once we get into packaging, that's when the stakes really get high, because all of a sudden, when you package your beer, especially if you're going into small pack, as in cans or bottles, you've got to make a significant investment in the packaging raw materials. And if you get your packaging wrong, it can just obliterate weeks of work, tens of thousands of dollars in labor, raw materials, packaging materials, all that sort of thing. It can just go down the drain and go so quickly. But once you've packaged the beer and it leaves your brewery and goes out in the market, then the stakes get even higher. Because the beer is no longer under your control, if something happens to go wrong with that batch beer, let's say, for example, we have some dry hop creep or something like that, starts re-fermenting in the can, now the beer is not in your possession. And now you need to get that beer back. And now you need to deal with potentially hundreds, if not thousands of consumers, retailers who are dealing with your bad beer out in the market. How do you get that beer back? What are the financial consequences of that? Here in Australia, we pay our federal beer tax when the beer leaves the brewery. So now you've got an issue with the tax office or the TTB around how you deal with all this beer going south out in the market. Here's the thing, is that there's three core problems that you're facing. Once your beer leaves your brewery, you're not in control of the beer anymore. Or at least the level of control is significantly less. The second problem is that if you don't have a food safety plan, or more importantly, a product recall plan, what are you going to do when something goes wrong with your beer out in the market and the complaints start rolling in? And the third problem is that complaints will pop up with your beer from time to time. That's normal. It happens to even the world's best breweries. But here's the thing, if you don't have a method in which you can diagnose and troubleshoot the issue and find the root cause, then you're going to be spinning your wheels trying to diagnose an issue that you've got no idea because you don't actually have that beer in your possession, right? So here's some principles here that might help you, right? So when you package your beer, you want it to get to the consumer in as good a condition as you get to try it yourself when you taste the beer out of the bright beer tank. And you want the beer to have a long shelf life. If you're going to put a date code on your cans of beer that's a 12-month best before date, you need to stand by it. It's super important. But we face two enemies when we put our beer out into the market. We've got flavor stability and we've got microbial stability to deal with. So flavor stability is usually 9 times out of 10 is related to dissolved oxygen ingress. And that's something that we can control within the brewery. And same goes for microbial stability. So it might be wild yeast, it might be diastaticus, it might be some lactic acid bacteria or pediococcus, or it might be dry hop creep. So flavor stability and microbial stability are the things that you're trying to work towards, but if they work against you, they very quickly become your enemies. So this is why it's really important that before you package your beer, you take a snapshot of what the beer looks like before it leaves the brewery. In the Rockstar Brewer Academy, what we do is we write what's called a product specification, and we define quality through two lenses. They are called fit for use and true to brand. Fit for use is all of the numbers that you can measure with an instrument that makes a number: final gravity, pH, alcohol, bitterness, color, haze, all those sorts of things. That's called fit for use. And then we also have true to brand, which is the sensory analysis, the sensory side of things. What is this beer supposed to look like? What's it supposed to smell like? What's it supposed to taste like? And what's it supposed to feel like? You need to take a snapshot of both of those things before the beer goes into the package. Do it at the bright beer tank. We call it a bright beer analysis. It's your best insurance, because if something happens to go wrong with your beer out in the market, and if you can actually get some of that product back to analyze, then immediately you've got a reference point that you can use to determine, okay, so this beer happens to have gone bad out in the market. What's changed since the bright beer tank? So you might do a gravity, pH, carbonation check, all that sort of thing for fit to check the fit for use numbers. And then you're also going to do some sensory on it and work out what's the sensory aspect of this beer that's gone south with it. Having that snapshot prior to packaging is really going to protect you. What's also going to protect you is making sure that you have good logs around your packaging. Okay, so you want to be able to take detailed logs around the CIP and the setup of your packaging line. You want accountability, who did what and when, and making sure that you're tracking lot traceability. So oftentimes cans, labels, all that sort of stuff that you buy usually has a lot, and you should be associating those lots with the beer that's going out into the market. And the same thing goes for the liquid. Any malt or hops or yeast will usually have a lot number, and you need to have that traceability to ensure that if your malt supplier happens to ring up and say, oh, hey, sorry, we've got this batch of two-row malt that just happens to have some pesticide in it, how will you know which batches of beer you've brewed with those batches of two-row malt from your supplier? Another thing you need to do is to implement a beer retention library. A beer retention library is basically every time you package a batch of beer, you keep some in your brewery, and you keep it for the entirety of the shelf life that you have said that you are going to stand by on your best before date, that you date code on your cans. This serves two purposes. Firstly, you can check your beer every so often. Once a month, you can pull a sample out of your beer retention library and do a true to brand analysis of it. How's it holding up over time? What's dropping off quickly? Then you can start to use that as ways in which you can improve the shelf life of your beer. The second thing that it does is that if something happens to go wrong with your beer out in the market, you've got in your possession a batch of that beer that consumer, maybe on the other side of the country, is complaining about. And so whilst there might be some other variables in the logistics of getting that beer to that consumer, at the very least, you've got the ability to do some analysis of that very batch of beer that the consumer is complaining about. And you can start to do some diagnosis. And the fifth part of this is own your shit. If something goes wrong with your beer out in the market, you have to own your shit. Now, what do I mean by own your shit? It's really simple. You've got to be transparent. All too often I see a lot of brewers in this profession, and they fall into one of two modes when they receive a customer complaint or something happens to go wrong with their beer. And the two modes are dismissive and defensive. The dismissive brewer goes, oh, that guy doesn't know what he's talking about. All right. The defensive brewer goes, what? There's nothing wrong with that beer. I brewed it myself. It's fine. You see how both of those modes don't serve you in terms of solving the problem or improving your beer or making your beer better. So own your shit means be transparent. If a customer complains about your beer, they have a legitimate complaint. Listen to them with an open mind. And instead of being dismissive or defensive, be an inquisitive brewer. Go, well, what's this customer saying? And what feedback can I take where I can go and make some improvements to my beer and make my beer better in the future? Dismissive or defensive brewers, don't be that guy. You're better than that. Hey, if you want a free deep dive into the quality system that the world's best breweries use, comment the word crash course below or scan the QR code and I'll send you the link to my free 15-minute crash course. It's really, really cool. So here's what you need to do to protect your beer during packaging and everything afterwards. The first thing you need to do is you've got to write two very critical documents. You need a food safety plan and you need a product recall plan. Your food safety plan lists out things like who your approved suppliers are, how you take logs, everything around traceability, what are the standards that you set within your brewery, and your product recall plan is your beacon. If shit goes south and you've got an entire, let's say you've got 50 barrels or 50 hectoliters of beer out in the market and you've got cans exploding all over the country, then you need a plan to be able to deal with such a massive amount of beer going wrong that's not in your possession. That's what a product recall plan does. They're absolutely phenomenal and you need to write it and you need to get it agreed with your team as soon as possible. Once you've got your product recall plan, you need to get together with your management team and your brewing team and you need to do what's called a mock recall. Practice makes perfect. Don't just write your product recall plan and expect to be able to follow it if things get south. I worked with a brewery about 18 months ago and we wrote their product recall plan. We did the mock recall on a Friday and then the following Monday they had a major recall incident and they were set. When you get a product recall right and you are transparent and you own your shit, this particular brewery, they followed their product recall plan. Part of that is setting up a communications strategy. So social media, press releases, all that sort of stuff, depending on the size of your brewery, of course. They basically owned up. They said, yep, we messed up. This beer's gone south. It's overcarbonated. It's going to have an excess of alcohol. They reported it to the health department. The health department sent it out on their social media. And what happened when they were transparent is that I saw on the health department's social media post, their post got thousands of likes and thousands of comments because consumers can be a little bit dumb sometimes. Because the recall was like unexpected increase in alcohol, people were commenting, oh, more alcohol, yes, please. So it blows up the engagement. And so here's this really high engagement post on social media that's talking about your brand. And all of a sudden, you might think, oh, I don't want to be seen in a negative light. But if you're transparent, that instills trust in your consumers. If your consumers trust you, they will give you their money over and over and over again. And so that's why a mock recall and actually having a plan for a recall is so important. And the third thing you need to do is make sure you've got those really detailed logs, your bright beer analysis, your packaging logs, all of your batch logs, right from raw materials coming into the brewery and all the way out. Build your beer retention library. It's going to save you so many headaches on the day if something goes wrong with your beer. Hey, if you like this episode, I reckon you should check out this one next. Thanks for watching this episode of Quality Focus Pro Brewers. Catch you in the next one. Cheers.